That's still within the week. I want to do kind of a trick question. Ramadan. Now, what month of the Hijri calendar is Ramadan? What number month? Ninth month. Right, exactly. What does Ramadan stand for? Who knows linguistically what it means?
It's a burning, right? Some sort of like some sort of burning. It comes from Ramadan. I think it was in your lecture.
Excellent, exactly. Comes from Ramadan, which some scholars say means to burn, and the connection with that is that it burns away the sins or the bad deeds in this beautiful month of Ramadan. What marks the entrance of the month of Ramadan? Huh? The exit of shaitan? Somewhat, kinda. Recitation of the moon. Recitation of the full moon. All you have to do is do this and say, keep talking, and they'll be like, no, Shaykhana, no. Yeah, the end of Shawwal, right, which is the site of the crescent moon. Because the crescent moon marks the beginning of the month, right. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Quran regarding the month of Ramadan, particularly in the chapter of Surah Al-Baqarah, you see around verses 183 to 187. I want to just mention some benefits and some ahkam, inshallah ta'ala, for this beautiful, beautiful month. This is the best month of the year. As the Prophet ﷺ mentioned in numerous hadith about the fadl, the virtue of this month. We want to start with the Quran al-Kareem. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says after A'udhu billahi min shaitanir rajim, Ya ayyuha alladhina amanu kutiba alaykum as-siyamu kama kutiba ala alladhina min qablikum la'allakum tattaqun. O you who believe, fasting has been prescribed upon you as it has been prescribed upon the people before you. Perhaps you may be of the mindful. You know, in Islam, Allah will mention a ruling. He'll tell you to do something or to stay away from something. And sometimes He'll tell you the reasoning behind it. Sometimes He'll tell you his intention behind it. You know, sometimes we tell our kids to do something. We don't always have to tell them why. Sometimes they may ask why. Just say, just do it because I told you. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will give a ruling, and it's not a condition for you to know why. But sometimes He will tell you why. Or sometimes He will tell you the intention or the objective. Because the intention and the objective is the same thing. Yani al-murid or al-irada wal-maqsad. So when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, O you who believe, fasting has been prescribed upon you as it has been prescribed for the people before you. Perhaps you may be of the mindful. Where's the ruling here in this verse? Who can tell us? I say it one more time. O you who have believed, O you who believed, fasting has been prescribed upon you as it has been prescribed upon the people from before you. Perhaps you may be of the mindful. So here Allah is telling you the ruling and the reason. Where's the ruling? What's been prescribed? So just to give you a small tidbit, Islamic scholars, any verb that is imperative or shows a command, it initially means that it's wajib, it's obligatory. Right? So has prescribed means that fasting is what? Obligatory. Unless there is something else in the deen that shows that it's not. Okay? Which we find later in the deen that the fasting Ramadan is and other types of fasting are not. So that's the ruling. Where's the reason? Does Allah mention the reason or the intention behind it or the objective behind fasting here? Sorry? Mindful. What's the word in Arabic? The verb He used? And He said, لَعَلَّكُمْ perhaps. What do you think this when He says perhaps? Why do you think He says لَعَلَّكُمْ? Perhaps you may be of the mindful. Why do you think He says that?
That means it's not for everybody.
Why is it not for everybody?
It's very hard to achieve.
Because you have to stay what? Discipline focused. Right? Mindfulness needs what? Focus. To be careful. So when you're fasting, what are some scenarios that can take you away from focus? That can take you away from mindfulness? Firstly, before that, mindfulness of what? Because you know taqwa We hear this word taqwa, right? Taqwa can be translated as what? Usually translated as what? Fear, right? But really, fear is a byproduct or result of taqwa. There are some words in Arabic, the word may be translated as the result or the goal or one of the goals of that particular word or verb. So mindfulness of God can lead to what? And also what? And also what? And also what? And also what? Any name of Allah, you think of it, the action of the servant towards that name of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, all of that is encompassed in taqwa. That's why the word taqwa is such a comprehensive concept, before I even say word, concept. And fasting is a means to get you to taqwa, right? So why did he say perhaps you may be? Because what are the things that can take us away from that mindfulness in Ramadan while you're fasting? Sorry? Self-awareness, you asked? Temptations. For example, what do you mean example? I want some real life examples. Examples. Give me a real example. Gossiping. When? What time of the day?
The whole day.
The whole day. MashaAllah.
Before you break your fast.
Before you break your fast. Okay, such as when you're on the phone with someone, or you're at work, in the lounge, or you're at school. I don't forget about you, brothers. Huh? No lounges during Ramadan. No lounges. Huh? Stay in the locker room or go to your car and just say, why are you in your car, brother? What's going on? Right? Gossip. Easily backbiting. What? Huh? Anger. So for example, what can happen with anger? Fighting. Right? I didn't want this for iftar. You come home. What did you make? Was there anything made? No, I didn't make. I was busy. You know it's Ramadan, right? Then an argument starts. Right? Your kids don't wake up for Fajr. They don't wake up for Suhoor. Or I know none of you know this one. I know none of the kids know this one. They sleep all the way till when? Asr. Yeah, never even say Asr. We say before Maghrib, actually. It's more... And they think they have this. I remember I found that out when I was in Saudi. I was like, this is a plan. This is, they stay up all the way till Fajr. Right? They pray Fajr. And then they the Z's all the way till Asr. And then they do Jama' of Dhuhr and Asr. Like they're travelers. I'm a traveler in this dunya, Sheikh. Yeah, get out of here, man. Right? So, fasting is supposed to take you away or to be a means for you to abstain from those habits, those things that you most likely or probably did during the month, the other months. So the gossip. What's one thing that one can do practically to stay away from gossip? So that's if someone's arguing. Someone argues, right? The Apostle said, "In sabahu o shatama, faqul inni sa'im." If someone was to curse you or to say something bad about you, then say, "Verily, I'm fasting. I'm not going to say anything. I'm fasting, bro. Let's just stop the conversation. Let's change it, or I'll call you back." Right? But what about you yourself in your room? You're thinking, what are some things that I can do to lessen the possibility of gossip? Let me give you. What are some triggers of gossip?
What's his name said?
Oh, yeah. What'd he say? I don't even want to, Allah, he is, shaitan's like, yes. Right? Someone's name comes up, and then you're saying, and the way that they say it like this, they want you to do some ta'liq. They want to hear your opinion. And it's already an opinion the way he's saying it or she's saying it in a way that person would not like it to be said about them, right? Okay, what's another trigger of gossip? Jealousy, that's a feeling. But what's a trigger of gossip? I'll give you a hint. Huh?
With certain people.
Huh?
A certain person might induce you to gossip or entice you.
How will they? That's my question. What are those things that they may use to induce you to gossip? He gave one example. You're sitting with them offline. What about online? On your phone. Social media. So maybe in the month of Ramadan, or maybe tonight, you may exit certain WhatsApp groups. Leave certain WhatsApp groups. Make an announcement on your social media that I will be busy, I will not be answering any responses, or whatever the case may be. You tell certain people, there are certain people, and they say, well, wallahi, there is not going to be any visits in the month of Ramadan. Because what happens is when we visit, we miss Salat al-Isha, and then we're running for Taraweeh, and I'm full because I didn't want to be rude in eating the food. Sometimes you're going to have to say no, and it may offend people, but you're on a mission. I'm sorry. This is one constant complaint that I hear from people, and that's why I'm announcing it. So sometimes, let's say we do have the iftar dinners, which is good. We're trying to receive the reward. The Prophet said, if you give half a date, right, you get the reward. Let's make that attempt to, when we invite them, that we make sure we give them the opportunity to leave for what? Salat al-Isha. Salat al-Isha. Which one is more important, Salat al-Isha or Tarawih? Right. No, realistically, we miss Isha because we're rushing, because we ate and we talked and we, mashallah, we're with the brothers and sisters. Yeah, this is fine. But let's keep our eyes on the prize. Let's keep our eyes on the prize and prioritize. Right? So with this gossip, one thing that we can all do tonight is look at our phones and see what are those things that distract us. Put your phone on grayscale. Look at grayscale. It's a feature on your phone to where your phone is black and white. Studies have shown that you do not get attracted to your phone as much as you put your phone down, to where you're not involved in your phone and doom scrolling. Making those announcements on certain WhatsApp group, brothers and sisters. Or, as a father or the mother, you say, from Salat al-Asr till Fajr, the phones stay in this basket. Period. After Maghrib, we may just recite the Quran together. We'll lead the Salah in the house, and then we'll just mention one beautiful thing that Allah has done for us today. لَعَلَّكُمْ تَتَّقُونَ. What are the means of mindfulness? Fasting is supposed to help you with that. Right? And then secondly and lastly, so Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is mentioning here, how He mentions that the fasting is a means for what? Taqwa and mindfulness. In other verses in the Quran, later in these beautiful verses, when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talks about the month of Ramadan, He says, شهر رمضان الذي أنزل فيه القرآن هدى للناس وبينات من الهدى والفرقان فمن شهد منكم الشهر فليصمه من كان منكم مريضا أو على سفر فعدة من أيام الأخرى يريد الله بكم اليسر ولا يريد بكم العسر ولتكملوا العدة ولتكبروا الله على ما هداكم ولعلكم تشكرون. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions here the month of Ramadan. شهر Ramadan, in which the Quran was revealed. And this is the second point that I want to talk about. So firstly, the month of taqwa means mindfulness. We need to each think about what are those triggers that take us away from mindfulness and try our best to eliminate them or minimize them. Right? Now secondly, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, the month of Ramadan in which the Quran was revealed. So what's beautiful here is that he yu'arrif Ramadan bi-ish. He introduces Ramadan with what? By saying it's what?
The day which the Quran has.
Exactly. So He introduces the month of Ramadan in the month that the Quran was revealed, which shows the importance of what? The Quran. When we say the importance of what does that mean? The importance of the Quran, what does that mean? It means to, mashallah, let's go buy the Quran and put it on the highest. Not the lowest. No. Never. Astaghfirullah. The highest shelf.
That you cannot reach.
That's the goal. We put it on the ladder so when people walk up, they look up. Ya Allah, mashallah. You don't want to do this. Astaghfirullah. What's the goal of the Quran, brothers and sisters? Nope. Exactly. Reading is a means to understand, to act. Read, understand, act. Read, understand, make a mistake, that's an act. Right? The goal of the Quran is for you to read it with the ultimate goal of understanding. Or to act. That's the goal. So when Allah says the month of the Quran in which it was revealed, هُدًى لِلنَّاسِ وَبَيِّنَاتٍ مِنَ الْهُدَى وَالْفُرْقَانِ. So Allah says that it's هُدًى لِلنَّاسِ. It is guidance for mankind. وَبَيِّنَاتٍ مِنَ الْهُدَى. And clarity from the huda, from guidance. So when some scholars mention that there is the general guidance and then there is the huda, bayyinatin min al-huda, and the clarity from this huda, which some scholars mention is the clarity from the truth, from falsehood, from shirk, from monotheism, understanding polytheism, understanding the truth and distinguishing that from falsehood. Allah giving you, because in this month of Ramadan, the taqwa from fasting, right? And then also from this reading the Quran will give you clarity. Bayyinat. Bayyin means clear, means clarity. Min al-huda, and then also furqan. And furqan min tafarruq. Yani you're able to distinguish truth from falsehood. Allah says in another verse in the Quran, Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu in tattaqullaha yaj'al lakum furqana. We got a hafiz there. I got to make sure, I got to put these guys and check both of them. I just remembered. Jazakallah khair. In tattaqullaha yaj'al lakum furqanan. So Allah says, oh, you who believe, if you are mindful of Allah, He will make you of those that have the criterion and possess the furqan, possess the criterion. Whose nickname was Faruq? Umar al-Khattab. It's the same jidr, the same 3 letters, fa, ra, qaf. Umar al-Khattab, if you look in Islamic law, there was times during his time, the books of judiciary, you will see that there are a lot of situations that took place during the time of Umar al-Khattab that didn't take place in the time of Prophet ﷺ, and he established judiciary, Umar al-Khattab. And that's subhanAllah from the signs of him being al-Faruq, the one that distinguishes haqq from batil. Okay? As all of the companions were, radiyallahu anhum. But this is a major feature of Umar al-Khattab, which Allah chose to put during his era. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that you read the huda lin-nasi wa bayyinatin min al-huda wal furqan. Then He mentions faman shahida minkum ash-shahra falyasum, whoever witnesses the month being the hilal, the crescent moon, and whoever has been sick or traveling, then they should make their days up in other times. So if you are sick in the month of Ramadan, it has to be a sickness that la yurja bur'uhu, that some scholars say if it's a very bad sickness, such as the flu, such as COVID. But if it's no, this is not considered a sickness that is harmful to you. I mean, that is very harmful to where you cannot fast. I have to put my beautiful beloved son on. It's so funny. So he goes to Quran school. So he was leaving, and when he arrived to his place, his destination, where he was reading, he said, "Yeah, Baba, I'm sick." I said, "Sick? Yeah, I'm homesick. So I think I need to come back home." Remember that? We thought it was joking, but he was serious, mashallah. He thought homesick meant when you're away from home, you get sick. It means it's a sign you need to go back, you need to go back home. La, ya walad. Yeah, la, la. No. So the sicknesses are sicknesses that you are not able to fast, such as a severe migraine headache can be that as well. Okay? But those are the sicknesses that if you have it, you can break your fast, you don't fast that day, and you make it up on the days after Ramadan and the rest of the 11 months. If you plan to fast the 6 days of Shawwal, the 6 days after Ramadan, which there's a virtue where the Prophet said it is like he or she has fasted the whole lifetime, the whole year, that whole year, then you can fast those 6 days in a row, and then any of the days in the rest of the 11 months, inshallah ta'ala. Okay, so those are the days if you are traveling as well. If you're traveling, it is not obligatory for you to fast, but some scholars recommend it is highly recommended for you to break your fast, inshallah ta'ala. Okay, so those are the days that you can make up when you come back after Ramadan is over, and if you plan to fast after Shawwal. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions, after that when he mentions the appointed times, he mentions his intention again. He said, يُرِيدُ اللَّهُ بِكُمُ الْيُسْرَ وَلَا يُرِيدُ بِكُمْ الْعُسْرَ. Allah wants for you ease and does not want for you hardship. Why is this important? Well, it's so beautiful that Allah mentions this here. Some scholars call this a parenthetical sentence. يعني جملة اعتراضية. That it's a sentence that he's talking about the ahkam, then all of a sudden he mentions what he wants. Or he mentions his reasoning behind it. Or he mentions the goal behind giving you these ahkam, these rulings. So Allah says He wants for you ease and doesn't want for you hardship. Why is it important or munasib or suitable or befitting for Allah to mention that here?
Because not everyone can fast. Like old people, as we said, sick people. That's why. I mean, you can't make that fasting for them as a fun. If they can, they can.
It's interesting you mention old people. So old people as well, old people that are the sickness or their elderly age is at the ruling or the same comparison level as someone that is sick. What's interesting is I've heard this a number of times, and this is beautiful, that some of the elderly will come to me, and some brothers and sisters have mentioned that their parents want to what? To fast. But it's important to remember that you not fasting, inshallah, you will receive the reward for that if Allah has given you the rukhsa and the concession. If you fear, or there is, as some scholars, the scholars mention, 2 reputable, preferably Muslim physicians that attest and say that you can fast. But if they say you can't, for instance, you have, what is it? Like diabetes, for example. Okay? And you have to take something for your insulin. Okay? If there's something that you have to, or you have to ingest something, then that's where you're able to. Dialysis, for example. You know, things that break your fast is that which is to a level of nourishment, you know, that enters into your veins, etc. Some scholars say if it's just an IV, has to be some type of nourishment. An IV could be a level of nourishment because it's hydrating. Therefore, that is considered a breaking of your fast. But remember, you receive the reward for that because Allah has given you the concession. If there is a concession, it doesn't mean you get lesser of the reward. And that's why it's important when you mention the elderly as well. That's very, very important. Any concession Allah gives you doesn't mean, well, you can do this, you'll get less of the reward. No, you receive the reward, inshallah ta'ala. The most important thing is our intention. No?
Pregnant woman.
Now, a pregnant woman, if she fears for her health or she fears for her baby's health, then she can break her fast. She takes the ruling of a sick person. She would take the ruling of a sick person, and then after she delivers, she can make those days up, inshallah ta'ala. Right? So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is mentioning here, He wants for you ease and doesn't want for you hardship. It's beautiful to mention that here because some people may feel a little what? Stressed, or fasting may be difficult. He says He wants for you ease and doesn't want for you hardship. This ruling is general throughout the whole of what? Deen. This is important because Allah wants the best for you, and He created you. So 1 + 1 = 2. If He created you, He knows what's best for you. So whatever He legislates for you is best for you. So fasting during the day, even if it's 16 hours or 20-something hours in some places, right? It's His creation. He knows what's best. What's important for you is to struggle in that range. And to do what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has legislated, what's obligatory for you, and to know that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala loves it. Because He wants for you ease and doesn't want for you hardship. And then He says, وَلِتُكْمِلُوا الْعِدَّةَ وَلِتُكَبِّرُوا اللَّهَ عَلَى مَا هَدَاكُمْ وَلَعَلَّكُمْ تَشْكُرُونَ. And then He concludes by mentioning the day of Eid. The day of Eid. وَلِتُكْمِلُوا الْعِدَّةَ, and to complete the iddah, to complete the time frame, which would be 30 days. وَلِتُكَبِّرُوا اللَّهَ, and to glorify Allah by saying what? Tukabbir, takbir. So on the day of Eid, what is usually said? What is said? Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, La ilaha illallah, Wallahu Akbar, Allahu. And this is important for those that have converted to Islam. And this is important for youth and even for parents as well. As I mentioned numerous times on the minbar when I give a khutbah, I talk about those days when I walked into Walmart that was called Kmart back in the day. You know, there was Christmas carols everywhere, ornaments, everything. It's important for us as Muslims, particularly in this country, that we emphasize Eid, that we emphasize this deen of Islam, and that people outside of the masjid in our neighborhoods, that they know, oh yeah, those are the Muslims at Ramadan, they practice Ramadan. What's that? They fast 30 days. That it's important that we as Muslims, especially our children, know that Ramadan is a special month and that Eid is a special day. Giving gifts is allowed in the Eid. spreading happiness and goodness is recommended for us in this beautiful day of Eid. Spending time with your family is beautiful. This day of Eid is a celebration, and subhanAllah, what's so beautiful about this is that the celebration is the celebration of worshiping Allah. You're celebrating the fact that you're worshiping Allah. And the celebration in and of itself is worship. Don't separate celebration from worship. Sometimes you think worship is something that's difficult and in the masjid and I'm stressed out and just Allah wants in that. No, celebrating in and of itself is worship. When you're there and you're making takbir and you go out with your family, وَلَعَلَّكُمْ تَشْكُرُونَ, perhaps you will be thankful. You look at your family, you look how they are healthy. Tashkurun, you're thankful for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala allowing you to complete this beautiful month of Ramadan. So just remember this in this month of Ramadan, brothers and sisters. I think it's important that, inshallah, if not tonight, you sit with your families and have some kind of schedule, some kind of plan, because your schedules are going to change. What do you plan to do to make the most out of your Ramadan? As collectively as a family. Individually, have one thing that you want to leave off or that you want to implement. Okay? And I particularly advise one thing that you want to leave off for the remainder of your life. Not like, something you want to leave off, a bad habit, or something you want to do. I want to start praying witr. I want to pray witr. I want to start praying fajr in the masjid. I want to pray fajr on time. I want to call my mother once a week. I want to talk to my neighbor once a week. See how they're doing. I want to text that brother or sister that I've had an issue with. He and I have big problems. I want to send a text message. Or my own brother. The family problems is the worst. Not the worst. It's the biggest challenge. Because it's our ego. This is the time to dig deep and to look at your ego and see what aspect of your ego is hurting you in this dunya, which has a possibility of tampering with your akhirah, with your next life. The month of Ramadan is the time to do that. Outside of every other time, definitely this month of Ramadan is to struggle to be humble to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And all of these are means. Fasting, reading the Quran, remembering Allah wants you to be mindful of Him and know that He wants what's best for you, whether you know it, like it, or not. So may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make us of those that understand the beauty of this month of Ramadan and allow us to reach this month of Ramadan with health, and allow us to reach this month of Ramadan with action and consistency and taqwa and mindfulness of Him. Innahu waliyyu dhalika wa sallallahu wa sallam wa barak ala nabiyyina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in.